I had became an employee at a sandwich shop. This was about 2012, maybe 2011, 2012. And I slowly worked my way up to the head sandwich artist. And so I got to run the front of the line, and I was very fast, and they loved that. So one day, this guy comes in, and he comes up to me and he's just like, man, I don't normally do this, but I just feel like I need to introduce you to myself and tell you what me and my friend here, and the other friend with him, are all about. I was like, okay. And so he pulls out this card, and he hands me the card, and I was like, what is this? And I'm thinking to myself, are you Jehovah's Witnesses? I actually asked him that before he handed me the card. He's like, no. We're not Jehovah's Witnesses. We're Buddhists. I was like, you're a Buddhist. Okay. I spent a huge portion of my life, back to when I was between 5 and 6 years old. My mother used to clean houses for a woman that was a spiritualist. And throughout her whole house, she was such an influence on my life. Throughout her house, she had statues of Buddha. And that was interesting to me. It is actually something that I carried with me for a very long time. Even when I claimed to be a Christian before, I had statues of Buddha. I'm like, okay, alright, I'm listening, that kind of thing. And he said, do you know what Buddhism is? And I told him yes, because I'd actually dabbled in Kuan-Yin Buddhism and Shinto Buddhism and a few other little things, because like I said, I was kind of bouncing around. I read a lot, and I was really interested in Buddhism because I figured God let me down, so I'm gonna do it myself, and I'll do it through extreme meditation. I'll do it through fasting and all of these things. He gives me his number, and he's like, all right, we'll hook up, and you can come to a meeting, and I'll show you what this whole thing is about, and it's gonna change your life. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And it did, and I'll explain why. So I go into this situation, and I got pretty tied into it. I used to go to meetings. It's like every Saturday morning. And then there was like the Wednesday night meetings and all kinds of stuff. And while I spent a ton of time in these meetings, I had experienced things that I never experienced in Christianity. And that, to me, was groundbreaking. He started bringing me to meetings, and he made a way. He sure did. He would come and pick me up if I could not get out there, and we became very close. And I'm not gonna lie, I still am very fond of him, but I had to break ties. I had to. Anyway, I'll go into that in a little bit. So my walk continues, right? So I'm going to these meetings, and I'm told, you are chanting and praying to yourself. And I'm like, what? Part of me, and I do vividly remember this, part of me felt like I was just, even though at the time I really hated God, I denied God, and I would make jokes about Christianity, I'd make jokes about Christians and so on and so forth, but I remember being in one of the meetings, and I'm doing my thing, and I feel like I am deep in sin, and if I'm wrong, that I'm not going to be reincarnated, I'm absolutely going to hell. And I was told by some of the elders, some of the people from this organization, that all I gotta do is chant, and I'll get whatever I want. And I'm like, okay. I'm a guy that doesn't just, I don't jump on things without like some tangible proof behind it, because I think that's crazy. Okay, I've never been that kind of person. I'm very skeptical. I'm very standoffish. You got to prove yourself to me. Okay, that's how it's always been. I don't like losing control. I've never done drugs or drank or smoked even a cigarette. But surely, if these people are going to tell me that all I got to do is chant for something and I'll get it, then I did. And I will be completely honest with you. It worked. Oh yeah, it worked. It sure did. And I chanted for things and I would get them. And it was crazy stuff too. Stuff that didn't even make sense. Things that were worth hundreds upon hundreds of dollars and I was getting them for $20, $30. Weird stuff like that. But then what freaked me out even more, it just made me think, wow, this actually does work, is another friend of mine who is in the organization. This is probably a year into my Buddhist walk. He had a stroke, a bad one, and ended up losing control of the entire left side of his body. So bad he couldn't even lift his hand. And the doctor said, that he wouldn't get full mobility back and all of this. But sure as hell, pardon my French, he said, I'm going to be fine within a year. And he said, I'm going to chant about it. And all the people in the organization, they all chanted about it. I chanted about it. We would get together and we would chant over this guy and all of this stuff. And I swear to you, he was walking and talking normal within 1 year. Actually, it was quicker than that. And that was like, whoa. Right? So I'm watching this and I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. He had severe damage to his brain because of this stroke. He couldn't walk. His speech was horribly slurred. This is a big, strong, muscular man that he would go to the gym and, he took care of himself and he ate healthy and all this stuff, but he was young. He was in his 40s. And it just knocks him out. And I've seen from my mother-in-law, she had a couple of strokes a few years ago and she can barely walk. She has such a hard time walking now. She's a trooper. She really is. But I've seen how much it's damaged her from these strokes. Anyway, back to topic here. So, while I'm watching all of this, something starts happening in the organization, and they go through a campaign where they're like bringing as many people in as possible. And with this organization, that started to really freak me out, because what started out for me anyway is like this spiritual walk. I was gonna achieve enlightenment, and I learned everything that there was to know about the organization that I was in. I learned everything that there was to know, that I could find anyway, about the original Buddha, and about the philosophies in Buddhism. And I'm watching as this organization is like, just get him in. And it's not a thing like Christianity. Like, they baptize you and you're a Christian. And then it's like, okay, there are things that you can buy, like books and things, to try to get you to have an understanding, and obviously get yourself a Bible. But it's your personal walk with Christ. But this became, you had to buy an altar, You had to pay for their publications. If you didn't have your publications active, if it expired, you didn't pay for it, they would like kind of shun you about it. You needed to go back. You needed to sign up and get your stuff rolling again for your study materials. They would urge you to buy beads, and they had a I can't even remember what it's called, but it's, you know, like this altar set. So you get like a thing to put a food sacrifice, a sake or water sacrifice, and there's a bell and candles and all of this stuff. It's just a whole lot of whatever. I'm watching as they're just like, they're pulling all of these people into the organization. I'm like, this just seems really weird. I had started to feel a little weird about it when they would take, believe it or not, they would take Christian songs and then they would rework them and direct them towards the president of the company, of the organization. And that freaked me out because there was a lot of worship of this guy. Like, seriously. And it just felt like some Jim Jones stuff, right? Like, these people were deep. And they would have kids go up on stage and sing Christian music towards this president of this organization. Freaked me out. I'm not gonna lie. But I had actually questioned at one of our meetings, it was a big meeting, and I had addressed my concern about quality interactions between what they called a master and a pupil versus quantity. And if they focused on the quality, and I had actually said this to a woman who was like, oh, I've got all these people that I'm bringing in and all this other stuff. You know, I'm sure she thought that she was doing a wonderful thing for this organization or for the people. And she lost her mind. She flipped out at me at this meeting, and then nobody wanted to back me up. They're just like, why would you say that? Why would you say about the quality versus the quantity? Don't you understand? Like, and I was kind of shunned, and at that point I kind of broke away from them. Well, I had an altar in my house. At this point, I had the scroll that I would pray to. I had all of these things in my house, and I was just lost. Well, I broke away from them. People would call me, reach out to me, want to go out to lunch with me. They obviously knew something was not right, or that I was living in Buddhist sin. But, so they would reach out to me because they wanted me in the organization. And, I spent a lot of time practicing by myself, and I really did fall away from that organization too. Now I'm lost, right? And I have no idea what I'm doing. Several years later, my life flipped upside down, and all of these things that I had had that compounded the pornography, the attitudes, the verbal abuse, the things like that, it all kind of piled up, and I had a situation happen that just completely destroyed me. Never been a depressed person in my life, and I decided that I was going to hang myself. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate any and all support that you guys give me. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for updates on the videos. Also, if you have not seen part 1, it is up. So if you want to watch that. Also, part 3 should be up shortly. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching part 2 of my testimony, and God bless.